coaching as a leader. I believe that especially in the climate that we're operating in now, coaching is the most valuable skill that a leader can have. And I'm going to explain why. Hi, it's Ruth Kudzi, founder of Optimus Coach Academy and Ruth Kudzi Coaching Limited. I am passionate about helping people live the lives they want to live on their terms through supporting people to train and develop as coaches and supporting people in my coaching business to build and grow their businesses. Often, leaders can be directive, and I can be directive, and I have been both in my current role and when I was in senior leadership positions. And that is okay, and it's okay to sometimes be directive. However, if we want to get the most out of our teams, if we want them to feel empowered, if we want them to feel that they have autonomy and control over their work, which we know links to higher levels of engagement, higher levels of performance, higher levels of retention, then we need to adopt more of a coaching approach. We need to ask people, what do you think? And we need to not only ask people, but we need to listen. We need to be open to their feedback on what is going to work for them and what is working and what isn't working. When you actually have a coaching approach to leadership, you are able to support your teams to come up with their own answers and to come up with their own solutions. And I remember when I saw this, first of all, I was working as a senior leader in a very, very large secondary school. And I was very much of the directive form of management. So I was more about my control rather than other people's control. And what happened was I had a member of my team, and what I would say is, these are the things you need to do. And they weren't doing them. And they weren't doing them, and they weren't doing them. So I thought, okay, instead of me telling them what to do and them not doing it, we're not getting anywhere. Let me think about a different approach. And I had a coach at that time, and I remember sending her an email and going for a walk. And on that walk, I realized actually what I could do is have more of a coaching approach. So asking the questions, what are your priorities? What do you think is important? What's actually stopped you doing this list? When I gave you the list, how did you feel? Because when we give stuff to people, it can feel like we're putting it onto them. Some people are absolutely okay to be managed in that way. In fact, some people love to have lists and processes and structure, but other people don't. And when you have that more coaching approach where you are collaboratively looking at what they need to do, how they're going to do it, what the possible blockers are, then they're going to take more ownership. Because it feels like it is something that's done together rather than something that's done to people. And when I had that approach with that member of staff, everything changed in our relationship. I'm not saying that we suddenly became best friends, but the friction was diffused. And so now it's something that I say to my team the whole time. What's working well for you? What isn't working so well? What do you need more support with? But equally, it's about modeling in those informal conversations as well. Often, when someone's not performing at work, it is a symptom of something that's going on outside work. So actually giving people that time and space to help listen and understand. If you've got a team member who maybe is going through a traumatic breakup, or one of their family's sick, or their pet is sick, or they've got health issues. Actually, when you've got a coaching approach and you're looking at the person, then you can start to support them more. And things make sense. Because we know that you can't operate in a vacuum. So having that approach enables you to really support your team and empower them to make the best decisions for them. And what is interesting in having a coaching approach, and I think this is why some people shy away, is because sometimes within those conversations, it may be apparent that people are not doing the right roles, or it might be apparent that they're not in the right organisation. And actually, when we stop seeing merely retaining staff as a good thing, and we understand it's about retaining the right staff and empowering them and supporting them, and actually empowering other people to make the right choice for them in terms of their career, We move away from that fear that people may leave. Also, there's sometimes this fear that when we give people autonomy and control, they might fail. And that's true. But if we do it in a structured way and give them support, we're giving them that mechanism actually to sometimes get it wrong. And I think there needs to be a differentiation here. When we are leaders, we often coach for performance. So when we coach for performance, that might be limited to what somebody is doing on their job. How can you do that better? What's a different way of looking at this? What's an alternative? And that can be quite process orientated. Equally, that can traditionally link into performance management. And as a manager, when we coach for performance, we may have a different lens than when we coach for development. And we have to be aware that as a leader, we might be doing both. We might be coaching people for performance and performance managing them. And that has to be about performance. We live in the real world. You know, if you're working for an organization, that needs to be linked to KPIs. And often that's linked to the organization's performance. So those conversations have to be there, and they can be challenging. And you know, yes, with all the will in the world, if somebody isn't performing, you have to go there. And you know, there are always standards that you need to hold people accountable to. But there's a way that you can do it that gives people more ownership. Equally, giving somebody ownership and autonomy, it doesn't mean that their performance standards drop. But it is more, people are more likely to hit those performance standards as long as they know what they are and they've got the skills, if they have the autonomy over the how. And again, if you're working in complex markets or financial services, that may be more difficult and it may be more challenging. So we do need to look at the limitations based on context of when you can do pure coaching or when you need to be more directive. And alongside coaching for performance, we have coaching for development. And I would argue that this is a leadership skill that is often seen in those informal moments. And with hybrid working, we have maybe not seen as many opportunities to have those informal conversations. Those what do you think? How could you do that? What's going on for you right now? Because those conversations can start to give you insight into the individual and can start to give the individual that ownership of that they're valued, because everybody wants to be valued. But for any coaching approaches to be used in a corporate setting, there needs to be trust. People need to know that whatever they say and share with you is confidential if it needs to be, but also that you are going to be supportive, that you're not asking these things with an hidden agenda. And that is from the culture of the business. So coaching as a leadership skill is one of the ways that you can get better results for your organization and you can engage people. We know that when you have the right people in the right roles and they're engaged, performance goes up and it's a better place to work. And that is how coaching can help. Equally, you need to think about the caveats that surround it around the organizational context, because different contexts have different requirements. If you want to find out more about building your leadership capacity through coaching, or if you want to train as a leader, come and check out the courses that we offer at Optimus. You can click here. We do those for individuals and for corporates. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd like you to like and subscribe. And remember to keep abreast of all of our new videos. Just ring that bell and you'll be notified when any new ones come out. And we'd love to hear feedback from you. So if you'd like to post beneath your biggest takeaway, and equally anything that you'd like to hear me talk about, we're always open to feedback.